Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, back again with me Miftahul Ulia. This time we will discuss about countable nouns and uncountable nouns sentence. Okay, without further ado, let's just discuss countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns, nouns that can be counted, can make the verbs in the sentence singular. Definition of countable nouns indicates the name of an object of person whose number can be counted. Example: book, car, table, car, and others. Countable nouns are in the singular, then the verbs must be singular by adding the letter negative c's or us or is at the end of the verbs for the simple present tense or must use the auxiliary verbs is simple present tense or was past tense. Example of sentence: Benny reads a newspaper in the living room. If the countable nouns is plural, the verbs must be plural without adding negative h or is or is at the end of the verbs for the simple present tense or must use the auxiliary verbs are simple present tense or were past tense. Example of the sentence: the children play kids in the field. Characteristics of the countable nouns. The characteristics of countable nouns are as follows. Can be changed to plural form. Example: I have an English book. There are 3 English books on the table. You can use the article a and or the in form of a singular nouns or the article the in front of a plural nouns. All of students are going to the museum. Some or any of you can be used in the plural. Example of sentence: you need to buy some bread. Can be used with many, a lot of, several, or a great many in the plural. Example of sentence: they didn't have many books. You can use all of all, none of, not one, but of both or few, several in the plural. Example of a countable nouns. Some example of countable nouns. Sentences are as follows: she is not reading a magazine. He (PR) is not reading a magazine. The university students are clever. The vase is on the table. My diary is in the cupboard. The flowers in our backyard are fresh and look beautiful. Uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns are nouns that cannot be countable always make the verb in a sentence singular. What is countable nouns? Countable nouns are nouns that show the names of objects that cannot be counted with numbers. If you calculate it, you need measurements, scales, meters, size, and so on, which include uncountable nouns are material nouns and abstract nouns, intangible nouns. Characteristic of uncountable nouns. The characteristics of uncountable nouns are as mentioned below. Cannot use the article a or and before and uncountable nouns even though it is in the singular form, but can use the article the. Example of sentence: I always drink the water. Cannot be plural and always singular. Example of sentence: milk is very good for our health. Can use the word some or any which means little. Example of sentence: mother buy some sugar in the grocery store. Can use the word much, not money, a lot of, a great deal of, or plenty of, which means a lot. Example of sentence: Mary doesn't have much time. Example of countable. Example of countable nouns. Below are some examples of uncountable nouns. Sentence that you can learn. In addition, uncountable nouns only have a singular form and are followed by a singular. Verbs before countable nouns use a singular verbs with a singular countable nouns, and a plural verb is used with a countable plural nouns. We must remember that although nouns cannot be counted in English, they may be counted in other languages and vice versa. Conclusion: countable nouns are nouns that can be counted, while uncountable nouns cannot be counted, or to calculate them a measure, scale, measure, and so on are needed. Uncountable nouns only have a singular form and are followed by a singular verbs, but countable nouns use a singular verbs with a singular nouns that can be counted, and the same goes for the plural. The words much, many, few, little in countable and uncountable nouns. 1. Much and money. Many is used to express things that can be connected or what we call countable nouns, while on the contrary, much is used to express things that cannot be counted or which we call uncountable nouns. These two words have the same meaning, namely money. 2. Number and amount. Number and amount have the same meaning, namely amount or amount. The difference between the two is their use English sentence. If you use countable nouns, then you must use number. On the other hand, if you compose words that have uncountable nouns, then you must use amount instead of number. 3. Few and little both have the same meaning, namely a little. So what is the difference between these? Use the dash two words in English. The word few is used for countable nouns, and the word little refers more to uncountable nouns. 4. Fewer and less. Fewer and less have the same meaning, namely less. The use of these two words has the same principle as few and less, where favors is used for countable nouns, while less is used for uncountable nouns. 5. Some and any. Some and any have the same meaning, namely several. These two words are commonly used to express nouns that have an indefinite number of plural countable nouns on uncountable nouns. Example: she has some question. There are some reasons. I can't tell you why I should be worrying right now. I owe any money. You could tell me any reason, but I still won't believe it. That's the difference between countable nouns and uncountable nouns in English that you can learn along with the right words to explain them. Don't get confused. Have a good study. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.